Hello, happy Sunday, and welcome to our week ahead card pull. So we're going to be tapping in here for our collective energies for the week ahead, pulling some tarot cards and a special oracle card for some collective guidance for the week ahead. Now, this is my weekly card pull. I'm doing it here on Marco Polo in my September Empowerment Sharecast. So if you're viewing this on Marco Polo, thank you for being here. You are getting familiar with the drill here where we are going to pull some cards for the week ahead, and then I'm going to roll into talking about Monday through Friday with our spread. If you're watching this on one of my social media platforms, this is a sample of the card pull that we will be digging into over on my free Empowerment Sharecast. And that is where we can connect more authentically and intimately off of social media grids. There is no ads or algorithms, and it's a place where I am able to also offer you a complimentary card pull for your week ahead personally. So if you would like a personal card pull, please feel free to drop me a note in the comments. You can send me a message, or if you again are on the Sharecast, you can simply quick reply after this Marco Polo message, and I will be pulling cards this week for everyone that would like one. Also, if you'd like to join us tonight, we do our Facebook Live over on the Majestic Living Designs Crystal Community Group. We will be going live at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight, where we'll take a look at the cards that are coming forward and do some live card pulls there as well. We are continuing here with the gorgeous deck we've been working with all month, the Raven's Dream Tarot by 𝓦𝓮𝓮𝓴, and I am feeling called today to add a special message from the Enchanted Map Oracle cards by Colette Baron-Reid. So that's going to be a bonus message for us that we are going to pull in addition to our 5-card spread. So let's go ahead and start shuffling. This is going to be collective messages coming in for this week, Monday through Friday, which is going to take us from the 18th of September through the 22nd, which will actually be the day before the equinox. So depending on where you are in the world, you are gearing up for either the autumn or spring equinox. Tomorrow, I am planning to change my altar over to set up for the equinox and show you a little teaser here of the very special spread that I am offering. It's a special offer of in-depth personal reading I can do for you for the equinox of your choosing. I have an autumn equinox spread and also an equally illuminating spring equinox spread. So I'm going to be sharing more about those this week, but I'll give you a little preview at the spread. It's a very nice in-depth reading that takes you through a look back from the past season we're coming from, a look into the coming season and beyond. So they're some of my favorite readings I offer each year. So here we're shuffling up first a card for Monday, which represents an overview of our week ahead, sort of setting the tone for the energy this week collectively. As always, these messages are not beholden to the specific day they come up. They interact and work throughout the week. It's just a placeholder, as time is not linear. And these messages are for you in divine timing, where you are invited to take what resonates and leave the rest. So let's see what we have for Monday. Aha, what are you asking me for? You already know, says the High Priestess. Gorgeous card, beautiful. Definitely on point. You will see the candle I have burning here is the Higher Self Connection candle. This is from Angelic Celestial Colors, along with this energy spray I've been using all week in my new moon readings. So perfect that the higher self energy comes forward as we have been focusing on connecting in with our wise self, bringing in that connection with that aspect of us who knows, tapping into our inner knowing and wisdom. So that is setting us off for the week. Tuesday is a potential blocker challenge that we may encounter this week. Last week was fascinating. I felt like we had so many resonances and they were all so vastly different. The way that Hierophant came forward for us as a blocker challenge was really remarkable because there were so many different aspects of it. And then lastly, we wrapped up the week with that sneaky Seven of Swords. Don't let anyone steal your joy, not even your sneaky self. So let's see what's coming up this week. Potential block or challenge. The Wheel of Fortune. Yes. Okay. So the wheel turns, the seasons change. And with that comes all sorts of energy. And so we'll feel into what could be coming up there in the way of a block or a challenge. Wednesday's our midweek blessing. So let's see what we have coming up here for Wednesday. A midweek blessing. 3 of Pentacles. Beautiful. Love that energy of creation and collaboration. Thursday, how are we growing? How are we growing in this energy? Last week's challenge is this week's growth. How amazing is that? Yeah, so this was the super powerful. This is perfect. So when we talk about Thursday this week, we're going to be able to reflect on how this may have presented itself as a block or challenge for you last week that now brings through growth, expansion. What are we learning through the blocks and the challenges of that energy of 5? So perfect. Then we have finally for Friday, wrapping up our week, bringing in the caboose just before Equinox. What do we have coming in there? Oh, 5. 5 of Wands. All right, that's my poop stirring card. We can't get enough of that. I feel like we're always talking about the poo-poo stirring. Okay, so interesting. So let's cap it off with this special message from the Enchanted Map. And I'm feeling this because, as you see, and as we've been talking about the channeled words for September that I brought in alignment. And this month being an opportunity, this Virgo season being an opportunity for us to align ourselves with our highest and best paths now, right? And that is something that is ever evolving and changing. And so there's been this energy of the pathways and getting out the map. And again, this is the year of the Chariot. It's a 7 year. So it's all about being in the driver's seat and really looking at the direction that we are moving in. And sometimes that does involve pulling over, getting out the map, recalibrating, maybe choosing to take the scenic route. So many different analogies, driving car analogies I've been using all year long. I'm really feeling that energy coming back around here, reminding us about these pathways. So let's see what the Enchanted Map is bringing forward for us collectively as an extra message for us. I love that we have that with the High Priestess, because I feel like, what does that wise part of us wish for us to know? What is there for us to know here with this Enchanted Map energy? It's bonus message for us this week. Let's see what we have coming forward. Ah, look at that, home. And it is the card 27. Wow, that's a gorgeous card. All right, looking forward to delving into that one to see what's coming in there. And of course, I'm going to come back here with a photo of all our cards to speak a little bit about the rather quiet astrological week we have, but just touching on the things that have come to pass in the last few days and into this week. And then we will dive into our Monday through Friday. So feel free to hop in whenever is good for you. You can catch up on these throughout the week. You can go back day by day, whatever works for you. But thank you again for being here. If you have not yet checked out Marco Polo, please do look for the link in my bio. I also place it in my stories the day that I post these. Would love to have you over there. It's free, it's fun, and it's just a really special way for us to connect and go a little deeper beyond the scrolling. So thank you again for being here. Let's take a look and see what's coming up. We are getting ready to kick off our week ahead messages here. And we're going to start with just checking in on the energetic weather report with some of the astrological happenings and what is coloring our week ahead energetically. So we have just come through the equinox and the beginning of Libra season. So equinox is here, and it is a great turning point of the year indeed. So energetically, we are moving into a new direction. And the seasons around us may certainly be mirroring that change. As I said, it is a dreary, rainy, much chillier day here today. Lots of leaves have been falling already in this area. So here in the Northern Hemisphere, we are moving into the season of darkness, of death, of the earth, going to sleep and being in that state. And then, of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, they're moving into the season of rebirth and blooming once again, awakening. And so around and around that cycle we flow. Equinox represents a time when the veil between the dimensions is thin and the energy grid of the planet moves into higher harmony. So this is where we can really allow ourselves to be still, to tune in and connect with these healing powers of Gaia. And getting in touch with that can bring a sense of ease and flow into our lives. So this is a wonderful time to be spending time in nature when you can and connecting with the elements. Of course, here with the September equinox, it is coinciding now with the sun's move into the sign of Libra. Libra is represented by the scales, and it is a season to create balance in our lives. And it's associated with relationship, with beauty, and also a time when we could be feeling drawn to beautify our lives in some way. So that is where we may be feeling the need to create space, to clear, having a spring or fall clean out, donating items, creating physical space, and also energetically moving things around. This time last year, I got some downloads about feng shui and, moving things around in your spaces. In fact, it was 27 items that if you were to move 27 items around in your space, that you would be able to dramatically shift the energy. So that was something that had come forward that I'm getting a little nod about here now as well. So we'll talk more about Libra season. I have another special offering. There's so much. This time of year is so beautiful for connecting in, and I have so many fun tools and decks and so much more. So I have another Libra spread as well available that I'll be sharing soon. So also, as I mentioned, September 29th, Friday, Aries full moon. So of course, Aries, fire energy, Mars, the ram, it's powerful, it's punchy, and it's wrapping up the end of the month. So we have this fiery climax coming in. And this full moon is going to be connected with the Aries new moon and the Aries solar eclipse that we had earlier this year. And in fact, this is the final lunation ahead of eclipse season. So if you think back to the manifestations and intentions that you set back in March and April of this year, you might begin to start seeing those manifestations coming into full bloom now. And, as this is the last lunar cycle before the eclipses begin, we could begin feeling those rumblings of transformation starting to flow in. So we're going to see what we have coming up here in the cards this week. I think next week and the weeks beyond are really going to be telling for that energy since it's just arriving at the end of this week. But it is going to be a little bit of a volatile full moon carrying that fiery energy, the ram archetype, a little headstrong or ramming through things, that type of stuff. Egos easily triggered. We're going to dig into this much more, as I mentioned, with the empowerment pack. So if you're with me, we'll be diving in headlong into all of those energies. And if you would like to come along, I do have, the Hello Empowerment reading that you can snag to join us for the full moon reading, and then your own personal oracle card messages and card pulls along with all of that is coming through. So more to come on that, but now let's get ready to pull up our cards for the week ahead and take a look at our collective energies. Okay, the first card we're going to take a look at is this special Seasons of the Witch Mabon Oracle, being that we are just coming through this Mabon, and I did share a little bit about that in the prior posts here on Marco Polo. You can go back and see ahead of the pick a card, I shared some beautiful information about the origins of Mabon, celebrating, and also different rituals and things you can do to really harness that beautiful energy. So the card that's come forward here for us is Kitchen Witchery, card 23, with this message: abundance flows easily and effortlessly into your life. Be in gratitude. The key words here are abundance, manifesting, and many paths or opportunities. And I love this because obviously it's bringing us into the kitchen. My friend literally sent me a polo today from her kitchen with a family recipe book in front of her while she was making a homemade soup for her family. And I was making grilled cheese and tomato soup for my family. So it was not homemade, but the sentiment was there. And it's just feeling very cozy and really about, again, looking at all of these tools that we have, all of these supplies that we have at hand. And so whether this is very practical, things like going into the kitchen, making soup and preparations, aligning with the seasons. Many of us are wrapping up our gardens, or perhaps in the Southern Hemisphere, you're just planning to start your gardens. This energy of having gratitude for all of this abundance and the beautiful tools, but certainly with that nod to ancestral energy coming in here with the family recipe book, recognizing all of the gifts and resources that we have coming to us forward from our lineage. And as we talked about the thinning of the veil and the energies that we're tuning into now, to those that we have picked up along the way through all of our experiences. One of the messages I shared this past week when I shared my pink concert breadcrumbs was what I thought was a very profound message that I channeled through a personal card pull for someone that I shared some parts of, where we talked about expansion and that the way that we expand is through our experiences. So through all these experiences and many seasons before this, we have acquired all of these tools, this knowledge, wisdom. And so expanding into that. So I'm feeling a big nod to all of those types of, and I see the little squirrel down there on the bottom right. Again, reminding me of gathering, of going around and gathering up all of your tools, all of your resources, bringing all of that together in preparation for the season to come. So let's take a look at the Seasons of the Witch message here. Your higher self chose this card because you're entering a joyful period of abundance and manifestation. Enjoy it. When Kitchen Witchery visits you, you can rejoice knowing that the hardships of late have come to an end. Yay! You might feel lighter, spiritual guidance is easier to understand, and solutions to problems flow freely. Take advantage of this time and get clear about your desires, as what you ask for now is very likely to manifest with ease. This card will also appear when many opportunities are available to you. So it is a favorable omen for job seekers or when seeking support, such as from a loan or an investor or donations. So in a reading, if you're looking at this for a career, there's an energy of abundance coming in around that, a card of confirmation that now is a good time to move forward with any stalled plans or to begin working on a new project. And if you have a thought about asking for a raise or a promotion, receiving this card is your push to go ahead and ask for what you desire. In a reading about love, this card is a positive sign for marriage or the start of a new family, especially blended families. So a nod there to blended families where many moving parts are coming together to form a whole. Of course, for singles, this card means not only love, but many options to choose from. So you might find you're attracting more people than usual. And I would say that could go either way. We're going to talk about our potential blocker challenge this week, the Seven of Wands, with all those tentacles. We're going to take a look at that in a moment. And so really beautiful. What I love about this deck, and the whole series of the Seasons of the Witch decks, give you some helpful, spells, rituals, recipes. And here there is one for an ingratitude spiced apple simmer pot. So it's a simmer pot that's perfect for setting the mood of gratitude while calling in abundance. So it gives us a little recipe for all the ingredients. If you're interested, let me know. I'll send you a screenshot of the recipe and process for this beautiful gratitude spiced apple simmer pot. Beautiful. One last thing that popped in my mind with the first autumn equinox reading I just did yesterday, a message came through about this fall clean out, decluttering, creating space, and actually brought us into the cupboards, into the kitchen, into the pantry. So it was about, again, most practical level, going through all of those things, clearing out the old, creating space, checking in with all of your ingredients and goodies and things to see, what you may no longer need, what's not getting utilized, what you can pay forward and donate, and what is it past its date. So from a very practical, but again, checking in with your kitchen witchery, checking in with your supply cabinets, checking in with all the ingredients you have to make your magic, energetically and physically. So beautiful messages to kick us off. Let's go ahead and start in with Monday. Okay, Monday is kicking us off for our week ahead energies for the collective. And we have the King of Swords coming forward in this really beautiful depiction. So remember, the Raven's Dream is an amazing deck that takes the raven through their dreamscape of the tarot. So each card comes with a story about what is happening with that archetype and the dream that the raven had. And so here, the King of Swords, traditionally embodying the sword's suit. So that is the air element, and it is about truth and justice, fairness, determination, very much grounded in practicality, not getting swept up in emotion, having great balance in all of those things, being able to rule very fairly, directly, clearly, cutting through with that sword. Now, if that were to be energy that we were best served to embody this week, the Raven's story is so interesting about, you might notice these hourglasses down the bottom. So in the Raven's dream, he witnesses another formidable raven who is very assertively and authoritatively perched before these three symbolic hourglasses. And the first one here represented the potential for resourcefulness. The second one embodied emotion. So we see like the anatomical heart inside there. And then the third one encapsulated clarity of thought, that sword that cuts through, really clear, direct, to the point, bringing in truth. There's a steadfast dedication to justice and fairness. So I think, with relationships being highlighted now, again, with the sun moving into Libra and the balancing of the scales coming back in with this energy of fairness, balance, harmony, highlighting our relationships, there's an opportunity to be really clear and direct. And in our communications as well, now that Mercury is direct, bringing greater ease into our ability to communicate clearly, succinctly, to the point. If there is something to be said, if there is something that you need to make a ruling on in your life in terms of setting a boundary, a perimeter, of cutting cords. Cutting cords has been coming up so much. This is really a season for cord cutting. Anytime that the energies are shifting, the wheel is turning, we're moving into a new season where we can really be looking at, those old energetic cords that are kind of glomming on, hanging on. Again, gonna come right into this card next. Couldn't be more perfect. This energy of cutting those cords. So thinking about that King of Swords, very assertively, very directly, very clearly cutting those cords, but not viciously, not harshly. When it is in challenge, the sword's double-edged and it can sting, it can cut. So it's about being direct, but also being fair and bringing balance into order. So feeling that very strongly to kick us off as far as, you know, aspects that we are best served to embody when it comes to our interactions with others and with, you know, again, setting those boundaries, determining, you know, where we're putting our energy and looking at those hourglasses as time, resources. You know, your time is a precious commodity, a resource of yours that we perhaps are being encouraged to be a bit more discerning and selective about how we're spending it. So that's going to bring us into that energy as well. So let's go ahead and take a look at this potential block or challenge coming in representing Tuesday. Now, Tuesday is bringing in our potential block or challenge, and we've got this Seven of Wands featuring the Raven with their prized crab and all of these tentacles emerging from the water that sort of is inciting a little bit of fear and panic on part of the Raven that something is coming along to snatch away its prize, right? And so in the Raven's dream, it talks about how this initially incited fear, you know, into the Raven sort of panicking that something was coming to thwart its finding its supper, or in some way something that it had worked very hard for, and feeling that squeeze of a lot coming at him. You know, the Seven of Wands speaks to having a lot going on, like coming at you, and having an opportunity to hold your ground. And what the Raven found in their dream was just as quickly as the fear arrived, it dissolved and it was replaced with courage. And it took a deep breath and it enjoyed its meal. So there is an energy of being defensiveness or having courage or resilience in these situations, but it does also suggest that you have the upper hand. So as far as a blocker challenge, something coming up this week that could, you know, feel like there's a lot. I always say, like, the idea of all these tentacles coming at you, or how many spinning plates you have, as if this octopus has all these plates spinning in the air with all these many arms grabbing at you, looking for your energy, your attention, as we were just talking about with the King of Swords energy. This opportunity to hold your ground, stand firm, you know, again, maybe having to insert some boundaries or lay down some groundwork, you know, some things that you are using to sort of guide you to move through stressful times, busy times, challenging times where you need to face that challenge, rise to the occasion, stand firm, be more discerning again with what you're giving your energy to, having to speak your truth, standing for your convictions. And so again, as always, we see this playing out on the big stage in the macrocosm, and then the millions of different ways it ripples out from our microcosm, from our little stages in our lives, and the way that these things show up in terms of all those tentacles coming at us for our time and our energy, and needing to be more discerning or having an opportunity to, you know, set those boundaries. But again, in the macrocosm, using your logic and the thought with the King of Swords supporting us as an archetype, and then looking at cutting off the source, right? Cutting off the source of those tentacles coming at us, standing our ground, you know, again, standing in our truth, standing by our convictions. So, you know, yes, it's a disruption in the form of a block or a challenge, but again, there's this beautiful thread of energy that says you have the upper hand. So this is something that if you stand firm, hold your ground, you are very likely to prevail. So that is a good kind of challenge to have. So I like that. Let's go ahead and see from there what brings us into our midweek blessing with Wednesday. Now, Tuesday is bringing in our potential block or challenge, and we've got this Seven of Wands featuring the Raven with their prized crab and all of these tentacles emerging from the water that sort of is inciting a little bit of fear and panic on part of the Raven that something is coming along to snatch away its prize, right? And so in the Raven's dream, it talks about how this initially incited fear, you know, into the Raven sort of panicking that something was coming to thwart its Wednesday signifies our midweek blessing, and we have the Knight of Wands coming in here with a very interesting little story from the Raven's dream. So I hadn't seen this one yet, so I was just taking a look here at, there's a cougar, The raven and the white rabbit are the main characters in this dreamscape. So I'm going to share with you the dream because I think it's very interesting, the similarity to what I was just saying about the Tuesday potential blocker challenge. So let's take a look at the raven's dream with the Knight of Wands. Okay, Knight of Wands. The raven roused from a bizarre dream that had left its little heart pounding. It had formed an unlikely camaraderie with a delicate white rabbit. However, the tranquility of their friendship was threatened by the ominous presence of a mountain lion stealthily closing in on the unsuspecting rabbit. Without hesitation, driven by a sense of protection over its newfound friend, the raven descended from its safe perch upon a tree. It filled the air with loud, defiant caws, aiming to distract the predatory cat. The lion's attention drawn by the raven decided that a bird would make an equally satisfactory dinner. Despite the approaching danger, the raven stood resolute, its caws growing louder and more fervent. The lion needed merely to execute a single swift swipe of its lethal paw, and its razor-sharp claws would inevitably ensnare the daring raven. The raven's heart thumped wildly in its chest as it waited for the lion's attack, while keeping its eyes trained on the rabbit. As soon as it discerned that the rabbit had made it far enough to safety, the raven, with a triumphant caw, launched into the air, escaping the lion's clutches. It flew away, leaving behind a dream filled with bravery, friendship, and the adrenaline of a daring rescue. So, wow, okay, because we're coming in here with the King of Swords just cutting right through with this power, this discernment, this truth-telling, these boundaries, this energy of standing your ground, standing for your convictions, fighting off this energy that we see also being emanated here as a blessing. Now, the Knight of Wands is one, again, Wands is fire energy that exudes confidence, that exudes self-assuredness. There's passion and determination because it ties into our sparks, our desires, our passions. So we're talking sacral chakra energy. What lights you up? What are you birthing? Your work in the world, what you're creating. Having courage and boldness, that type of energy. And so we're talking about charisma and passion, enthusiasm. So the Knight of Wands, because Knights are the youthful, young energy, young adult kind of like energy before the Queen, as we're coming into maturity in the Fool's journey. And here in the Wand suit, really has like this passion and enthusiasm for life, for adventure, for exploring things. There's, again, confidence and charisma, embodying that energy. So this could be a time when you are actually feeling a little fiery, a little bold, outgoing, able to inspire people in a good way by your passion, your enthusiasm, being driven by your desires, maybe feeling a little spring in your step when it comes to getting things done, a little fire in the belly, that type of energy that you can be embodying this week, sort of going with that. Some of the energies of the full moon in Aries was talking about that fiery climax, wrapping things up, finishing projects. When we dip into that kitchen witchery and we're looking at all of our supplies and all of the things that we have to work with, maybe there are some things that we can finish, complete, create with that fiery enthusiasm. So I just thought it was interesting because the story, of course, speaking to the bravery and the, the chops of that raven to go up against the cougar in defense of its friend, the helpless white rabbit. But, so there's a double message there. It speaks to this energy for sure, collectively, right? But also for you, be inspired, be courageous, be lit up to do the thing, whatever that is for you, having a little bit of that fire and passion this week and having that be a true blessing that you might be able to get some things done, complete some things, or get things going in a new direction as well, letting that fire move you. Okay, so let's take a look now at how we're growing for Thursday. Wednesday signifies our midweek blessing, and we have the Knight of Wands coming in here with a very interesting little story from the Raven's dream. So I hadn't seen this one yet, so I was just taking a look here at, there's a cougar, the raven, and the white rabbit are the main characters in this dreamscape. So I'm going to share with you the dream because I think it's very interesting, the similarity to what I was just saying about the Tuesday potential blocker challenge. So let's take a look at the Raven's dream with the Knight of Wands. Okay, Knight of Wands. The raven roused from a bizarre dream that had left its little heart pounding. It had formed an unlikely camaraderie with the delicate white rabbit. However, the tranquility of their friendship was threatened by the ominous presence of a mountain lion stealthily closing in on the unsuspecting rabbit. Without hesitation, driven by a sense of protection over its newfound friend, the raven descended from its safe perch upon a tree. It filled the air with loud, defiant caws, aiming to distract the predatory cat. The lion's attention drawn by the raven decided that a bird would make an equally satisfactory dinner. Despite the approaching danger, the raven stood resolute, its caws growing louder and more fervent. The lion needed merely to execute a single swift swipe of its lethal paw, and its razor Thursday is how we are growing. So this always brings in the collective energy of how we are growing collectively into and through the energies week after week, season after season. And we have the most beautiful card here, Major Arcana, card 14, the Temperance energy. Temperance, the card of balance, of moderation, of flow, a card that represents patience and harmonizing, alchemizing, this really beautiful energy. And there's this babbling brook here that's winding through, and the raven is here in their dream, and they see this other raven, and it's evoking these feelings of peace, of tranquility, and balance. And so I love the Temperance energy because to me it embodies something that I try to practice in my life is the middle way, the middle path, and being able to have a toe in understanding aspects of all, so whether this is talking about some sort of challenge or conflict or disagreement or two opposing energies, two extremes, because temperance finds that middle way, that middle path between two extremes. And so whether this has to do with relationships or, schools of thought, belief systems, those type of energies, or even if it is just something within yourself that you're looking to balance and harmonize and bring more flow into your life. So if we are talking about our energy as a commodity and how we are using it and having an opportunity to pull back from two different extremes of maybe being like completely unstructured, I've talked the last couple of weeks about things like doom scrolling, vegging out, numbing out on whether it be devices or vices, things like numbing things, checking out, numbing ourselves with food, drink, habits and behaviors that are not energizing, that are not life-giving. They're actually draining of our energy force. And so there's one extreme there, and then there's like that super hyper vigilant energy of having to be very rigid about doing things very intensely with a lot of structure there too, which can also go into excess. So, this could just be things, like that within yourself that you're growing into creating more balance in your life, like, simple things, important things, simple things, everyday things, diet, exercise, and well-being, how you're caring for yourself, and maybe like wanting to incorporate some healthier habits into your life, but also not depriving yourself of enjoying things, finding that middle ground, finding that place where you can bring things into more balance and harmony, or again, as intense as finding that mediation point between two opposing views, forces, priorities, whatever they are, that are feeling very intensely separate, that again, a lot of this energy here at the beginning of the week has been talking about with having to lay down some of those ground rules and standing your ground, holding to your convictions, speaking your truth, defending what you see that you believe is right, and standing in that. And also, staying open to, in flow with this energy of the water coming in, the flow of understanding all of the different perspectives and views and genuinely having an openness and curiosity, cue the Knight of Wands, to understanding, to being open to many different paths, thinking about this babbling brook that's coming through here that is then the tributary to all of these different waterways, and water again being emotion, the feels, a depth of emotion. And remember that the full moon in Aries card was saying, cool your emotions, that emotions can be running high, the flow, this water energy, the heart chakra energy of cooling your emotions. I'm just going to grab the water element. As I sprayed the fire in the beginning, I'm going to bring in now the water elemental for bringing in flow for emotion. Flow being the key word here on this beautiful bottle. So bringing in some of the water element as well as the fire. I can't even tell you, because of the movie I just watched last night, it's so perfect with the Elemental movie from Disney. It was such a beautiful, adorable little story. So feeling this for us collectively as growing into greater moderation, flow, and ease, finding that middle way, that middle path, dipping your toe into different things in an effort to understand, to envisage perspectives, to spend a moment in the energy of other, and how that can expand you, as we talked about, expansion through our experiences. Beautiful energy coming in there. Let's wrap it up with the Friday. All right, Friday wraps up our week and of course brings in the fiery climax of the full moon in Aries. Super moon, fiery energy. So really not surprised to see this unsettled energy on the altar. Friday's energy is the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is the card of nightmare energy, right? Insomnia, the hamster wheel, the churning around of analysis paralysis, being very caught up in thoughts in the head, the swords, air element, right? So isn't it interesting that we start the week with the King of Swords, the embodiment of the sword. So bringing through the best, most balanced aspects of the swords. And then here is a very chaotic, very volatile energy of the swords when it is not balanced, when it is feeling very chaotic. And, it actually is perfect for the energies of this full moon, knowing that it is bringing in some of that shake up energy and volatile energy with the fiery Aries energy, bringing in eclipse season and so much more. Like I said, I'm going to be diving in deeper into these full moon energies with the empowerment pack reading that I'll be doing this week. You are invited to join along. If you're interested, just reach out, let me know, and I will get you in with us. But building off of that, we see here this Nine of Swords where there's just this feeling of anxiety, worry, dis-ease, being very much in the head, very much churning things around. And so, allow whatever is coming up through this energy coming from the full moon, from all these different aspects that are at play, to come up so that they can be seen, and then using the discernment and the clarity of the King of Swords energy that we talked about for Monday, embodying that throughout this week, coming to the battle, coming to the field with that energy, with the assuredness of the Seven of Wands, having that upper hand of being able to cut through, and with discernment and clarity and truth, being able to get to the crux of something and be able to clear it out using your tools, bringing us all the way full circle to our kitchen witchery with our Mabon message of utilizing all of those tools and resources that you have been gathering, that you have been working to build in your pantry, right, of resources and tools. So just taking a look here at the Nine of Swords, again, bringing through the vibration of things like anxiety and worry and some sort of mental anguish, because spending all of that time and all of that headsiness can symbolize some type of mental distress or anguish, maybe a period of intense worry, that something might be disproportionate, or that the actual problem or situation, might not be exactly how big it feels in our minds, right? Bigger than reality, and sometimes getting some perspective. Because even if this is about being unsettled, like from an insomnia point of view, from getting good rest, from being able to rest your mind, to put something to rest, a cycle of thoughts or things that have been churning around that can feel very big. I mean, even just looking at the little thumbnail of the Friday with the one raven with all those swords coming at it at its back, which is building up to the 10 of swords, of course, which comes after this card, and here in this card, these are said to be some sort of stinging insect where it's like getting stung, like coming at you. And so there's this energy of being afraid of getting stung, being afraid of getting, hurt or taken down in some way, that actually you have more reason to know that you have the upper hand, to stand your ground, to follow through with all this energy that's been building all week, despite how it may seem in your mind or the thoughts are presenting themselves. That type of energy is what I'm feeling there. It also can speak to guilt or regret. The Nine of Swords can represent feelings of guilt, regret. You might be dwelling on past mistakes or worrying about things that have not yet happened. This is a beautiful time to cut that out. It's the full moon. It's time to let go, to release guilt, shame, blame, regret, forgiveness. Bring that in, right? So there's some beautiful different like ceremonial things you can do, practices you can do in the full moon energies. And something that came through from the Seasons of the Witch when I did the pick a card the other day was taking fallen leaves, for example, or something from nature like fallen leaves, and actually writing on the leaf what it is that, and I'm just going to change this to be for the full moon versus like what we're manifesting, what we are releasing. Writing on the leaf what it is that you are cutting out, what you are clearing, what you are forgiving, the regrets that you are letting go of, the hurts and the transgressions from others or that you have done that you are releasing, letting go and clearing, and then actually taking those leaves and burning them. Fire is a great way and perfect for this lunation, particularly because of that Aries fire energy. So fire is great, but also you can bury the leaves, or you can, rip them up and put them back into the earth. That would be a very beautiful way to connect with nature, to get in touch with, energetically setting intentions, and then again, sending that out. And it covers, that energy of the practice of returning it, giving it back, releasing it, letting it go. I love that. So some really beautiful ways that you can connect in with nature and the energies that are presenting themselves here with Equinox. And then of course, the energies of the full moon with releasing, shedding, letting go. So I actually think, as much as we don't want to see a Nine of Swords because we're like, all of that energy, look at that poor raven's eyes bugging out. It actually is quite a beautiful energy for getting into the rhythm of working with what is and utilizing these energies to bring in greater balance and ease and flow and temperance. How beautiful is that? So I'm actually going to spray the earth element now to round us out for this week, and the air, because I think that we need all four elements represented here this week with all this beautiful energy. So as we started with fire, we had brought in the water. Now we're bringing in the earth element here, which has ground as a key word. And of course, the air element with this Libra energy that has arrived, clearing the way. We have the key word of breathe, which is another beautiful message that came up in the card pulls from the Mabon Pick a Card. Again, if you did not get a chance to check it out, scroll back here in Marco Polo to see the Pick a Card. There was one, if you happen to choose it, that had some beautiful breath work energies with breathing that you can do as well. So really feeling the energy of 4 and the elements, breath, grounding, and of course using fire and water for greater flow. And then the key word for fire is action. So on the other side, forward movement into the new. So thank you so much for being here. Again, tonight I will be live Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can't make the live, no worries. If you would like a personal card pull, feel free to just reply here or send me a message, and I will be pulling cards this week for your personal week ahead. Thank you guys, sending lots of love, and we'll talk soon.